What happened in the Metro Vancouver real estate market in November 2022? Let's take a look. We're going to start off with detached homes, move to townhouses, and then finally end off with condos, and hopefully that can give you a nice perspective of what's happening at the end of the year, how things have changed throughout the year, and what things might be looking like in 2023. Okay. Detached homes saw 3,672 active listings. There were 486 sales. There was a benchmark price of $1,856,800, and the average days on market was 40. So let's do the sales to active listing math to see what kind of market detached homes were sitting in the month of November. So if we take the sales, 486, and we divide that by the active listings of 3,762, we get 13.24%, which is a balanced market. Remember, a balanced market sits between 12% and 20%. Now let's compare November to October so we can see how things are slowly shifting. So in the month of October, we saw 4,017 active listings, which means November saw a fall off of 345 active listings, but that's not unusual for this time of year. Typically, November and December are where we really see things starting to slow down. October had 575 sales, and November had 89 less than that, which again is not unusual for this time of year. And this one's going to hurt a little bit. The benchmark price dropped $35,300 from October. And finally, the average days on market in October was 35, so it extended a little bit into November where the average days on market was 40. So let's take November 2022 and compare that to November 2021 so we can see how things shifted over the year. And now this will be a little bit more significant because if you remember, 2021 was pretty wild for the real estate market all over the world, but especially here in Metro Vancouver. So if we compare the active listings, we can see that this November 2022, we were up by 754 active listings. Now, if we remember, 2021 was pretty crazy, so that could have just been the fact that there was just nothing left. Everything was being bought up. And then when we compare the sales from 2021 to 2022, we can see the flip-flop there. This November compared to last November, we saw 501 less sales. And unfortunately, detached homes benchmark price slipped $13,200 compared to November of last year. Average days on market only changed by 3, not a big deal. All right, so we've covered detached homes. Let's move on to townhomes. So townhouses. So townhouses saw 1,427 active listings, 281 sales, a benchmark price of $1,027,900, and the average days on market for a townhouse in November 2022 was 26. All right, now let's do our sales to active listing ratio math to see what type of market the townhouses were sitting in the month of November. So if we take the sales of 281 and we divide that by the active listings of 1,427, we get 19.69%, which again is falling into a balanced market. Remember, balanced is between 12 and 20, but we can see that this is on the hairy edge of a seller's market. Seller's market is 20% and above. So townhouses held on pretty strong for sellers in the month of November. All right, now let's take all that, compare it to October, and we can see how things are slowly shifting. All right, so November had 115 less active listings than the month of October, but again, this is not very unusual. Typically this time of year, the market just starts to slow down. Townhouses sales were also down this November by 52, which again is not unusual for this time of year. So here's where it starts to hurt though. The benchmark price for townhouses dropped $15,700 from October to November. Now, if you just bought a townhouse, that might sting a little bit, but remember, real estate is a long game, not a short game. Let's compare November 2022 to November 2021 so we can see how the year unfolded. So in November 2021, there were only 825 active listings. So this November was up by 602 active listings. Unfortunately, November 2021 saw almost double the townhouse sales. So this November compared to last November, we were down by 332. But good news for the benchmark price. November 2021, the benchmark price was $990,300, which means if you bought a townhome in November 2021, the benchmark price showed some resilience of $37,600. And average days on market really didn't change much. Okay, now let's take a look at condos. Okay, Finally, we are on to the condo market in November 2022 in Metro Vancouver. So let's take a look. Condos saw 4,080 active listings, 847 sales, a benchmark price of $720,500, and a condo lasted for 28 days on average in the month of November. Okay, so let's do our sales to active listing ratio math to see what type of market the condos were sitting in the month of November. So if we take the sales of 847 and we divide those by the active listings of 4,080, we get 20.76%, which is a seller's market. So condos are still in a seller's market as of November 2022. Now, if we take those numbers and we compare them to October, we can get an idea of how things are slowly shifting. So in October, we saw 4,293 active listings, which means November dipped by 213. November sales also dipped by 148, but again, this time of year, that is not unusual. Things just start to slow down towards the holidays. Unfortunately, the benchmark price for condos also slipped over the month by $6,600, and the average days on market remained the same. Now let's take November 2022 compared to November 2021 so we can see how things developed over the year. All right, if you take a look at the active listings, you can see that November 2022 saw 679 more active listings than November 2021, but the sales show a different story. November 2021 saw more than double the sales of November 2022, which was down 981 comparatively. And unfortunately for condos, the benchmark price has slipped $32,300 over the year, and the average days on market haven't changed much. All right, so that is what the Metro Vancouver real estate market looked like in November 2022. My predictions are that in December, we are going to continue to see things slowing down. But what do you think is going to happen in 2023? I want to hear your predictions. I also want to hear if you have any questions or comments, so please leave those below. Or there is a link in my bio. That's not where my bio is, but there is a link in my bio. You can find me there, or you can find me at tylerburrows.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much, and I will see you on the next one.